Cool.
Voila.
Is it recording?
It is recording. Does it?
It's recording.
Now I feel nervous all of a sudden. Ah!
What should I say?
Oh God, isn't that funny? I mean, I used to think it was funny when, like, you know, if you would do a performance or something like this, and or if you're like doing, if you've ever been like at a documentary, like filming, you know, and people are like, well, just act natural, like, you know, and
Yes.
but the fact that there's the camera, right, and that it's recording.
Hard to be natural on camera. This is like years and years of training.
Totally. And then, like, I mean, this is an interesting aspect too, like the fact that all of our interactions are through this camera. Yeah. Anyway, hi, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm fine, and you?
Oh gosh, for Dana and the crew who is for editing these, you know, like, I think it's gonna be kind of funny to find, like, we've been having a conversation now for you know, like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. So now we're gonna record this little bit, but they're getting something raw from us, like after a full conversation, which I think is hilarious too.
Yes. Now we have, you know, we wrote down all the points that we want to talk about it now.
Yeah, tightly constructed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really great talking today. You know, I think about the folks that I have collaborated with, and I do tend towards collaboration. Like, I have a friend who I've been collaborating with on this project, Gender Power, that we talked about before. That person has a sort of background in dance and visual art, and also like digital arts, like does projection for theater and stuff like that. But I can't recall any significant collaborations that I've had with someone who comes through and has been classically trained as a musician.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that. So
Yeah.
person. You can, like, you know, find out for yourself if you like it or not after these 3 months of collaboration. If you enjoy it, and if it's like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, actually, I am curious. Like, do like the people that you're working with, though, when you're training as a musician, is it different for them? Like, do you feel like supported and encouraged in doing stuff that's experimental and like performative, and it's a bit out of the box, isn't it?
It depends on with who I'm working. I mean,
Yeah.
there are also a lot of people in classical music who appreciate it a lot and who like support me a lot. Also my professor, my clarinet professor, who is like playing in a classical orchestra in Vienna, and he's supporting me a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Also some friends and colleagues of mine, but some other people, of course, are not like really, you know, they say like, what shit are you doing now? Sorry. What are you doing now? And like, what's going on there? And like, you know, but they are like, there are also some people who like, who are not open to anything which is like, which has a smell of contemporary thing, but also, also when it's in music, you know, for them music stops with, I don't know, 1920 or something like this. It's also, I mean, in classical music, you know, in the really classical way, and when you really like train hard how to play Mozart and how to play Beethoven and so on, then you really like train how to play every note exactly, and like there is some kind of a rule for every note, and which this is like really a lot of rules and a lot of training for that. So, and I don't know. I mean, as I said, some people are really open to contemporary things, others are not. So
I mean, it's making me think of like, I say this about myself that I'm like craft identified. Like the way that you're describing how you train, you're like, it sounds to me like you're also talking about the like the physical task of learning something well, like to be able to have a craft in playing, and that takes repetition, dedication, like discipline, and that, you know, ostensibly a lot of the folks I think that you know, that continue to encourage me to be like I'm like, oh, I'm doing performance, and they're like, oh, well, I hope you're also still working in clay, or I hope you're still making objects, you know. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I mean, I am not as much maybe. I think about, like, I call it like crafter's guilt, when you're like, oh, I should be making more things, or I should be engaging in these like particular structures, like and then also pushing against them. Like those two things can be like simultaneous desires.
Yes.
Like
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And this is also the other struggle, which I have sometimes, and maybe you also have, is that also people from, also among the people from contemporary art, sometimes I have the feeling that um, they are not that open to classical music sometimes, you know, which is like really interesting, because for me, I really enjoy both and I really like both. I still, I mean, I'm doing a lot of performances now, but I still love playing classical music, and I still love the classical way of training an instrument like that, you know, and being like really educated and trained in it, and also practice it a lot. I really like it, you know, but I also like performances. And sometimes people from contemporary art, they are like, oh yeah, they are really not accepting classical music or classical art.
yeah, I mean, if you think about the people, you know, who we might admire, you know, from times past, there have been, you know, salons and mixing and you know, visual art and music, literature, poetry, it seems in particular, uh, lends itself as like poetry is almost like a bridge between, you know, this sort of more experimental, like art based stuff, and this stuff that's like literature, which is, I think, maybe like anything you're classically trained in. But it appeals to me. I'm curious actually about, you know, you were talking about like actually the thing like being trained and training. There are appealing aspects of that for you. I'm curious, like what, like I'm curious to know some of the things that you sort of feel like you get from that.
You mean the difference between being trained and training?
I mean, if we were thinking about sort of like classical music and being trained as a classical musician, and the things that one has to do, so practice and play, perform, and in a way that's like not very perhaps experimental, but in particular that like there's something you're saying that for me brings up ideas about repetition. I'm not the type of ceramic artist who makes functional objects like plates or cups or things like this. And when I do, it's usually like kind of a little bit of a like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like I, like I, you know, my functional ceramics are things like butt plugs that come on little serving platters, you know, that are, you know, they're intentionally humorous and provocative. A potter doesn't go into the studio and throw one pot and then finish it and sell it and like never throw a pot again. It's a constant iteration. So the thing that you said, you know, that I really like, I was like, ooh, yeah, that's an interesting to me, because I think craft practice has a lot in common with other practices of transcendence. So I think if my studio work right now is really, I'm very curious about repetition and catharsis. So I'm thinking about like organized religion, yoga and meditation, playing music or being a potter has some things in common with these avenues for transcendence.
I mean, there is a difference between technical training, the instrument, which is just, getting fast fingers, or I don't know. But
Yes.
also there is this other thing, which is more like training to, get the expression or get the music, to train the emotions maybe, or to train the musical things more like this. What for me is really interesting is that, I mean, there are strict rules in it, how to play Brahms, but still there is a difference. It's not only that it's different when different people play it, but also, in one person's life, it's different when you play it when you are, I don't know, 18 and 28 and 38, or even, I don't know, 68, for example, because you change and your mind is changing, your personality and so on. So it's like, it's a process the whole life. I mean, at least for me, it was always like that when I had a change in my life, in some part of my life, that also my musical feelings changed, and also the ways I play my clarinet, my instrument, are changing. So,
Yeah.
and I guess it's the same. I mean, that was what that reminded me when you said, when you talked about, pottery and the process and so on. So I could imagine that it could be some kind of the same in this.
Yeah. Like almost as if there's the structure of a composition or a score.
Mm-hmm.
It may seem static, like it's the same thing. But like you said, it could be the same person at different stages of life and have innumerable outcomes and possibilities. Yeah, I don't know. I'm comforted by structures, and actually, it's kind of why I said yes to this. I said yes to this project partially because of what I talked about before, which is that I'm looking to be able to to derive a sense of pleasure and play from my practice. And I have found that the longer that I go on, and in particular the stage that I'm in, which I think is like emerging, like I guess I'm put a lot of pressure on myself about outcome. And the more pressure and the more scrutiny and the more visibility, the more I foreclose on my own pleasure and play. So that's something that I've been noticing recently and wanting more pleasure and play. And I think I can't, like for me, just wanting to do something doesn't mean that something just happens. Like I actually really appreciate structure. So something like this residency where we have like, weekly meetings and we're going to chat and who knows what we're going to make together, that felt appealing. Like I felt like, oh yeah, this will be an experiment. I can't know what the end is going to look like at all because I don't even know who I'm going to work with. That is a unique experience actually for me right now. My practice has been very much like very calculated, very calculated. Yeah.
So nice words. Congratulations for that.
Well, thank you for being my partner in this experiment. What made you say yes to this?
Well, I said yes to this, because I really, really like to work interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary. For me, also most of the time, or like actually always, no, not always, but most of the time, I choose people I'm working with, by myself.
Yeah.
So it's mostly it's my concept, and my ideas, and I work it out, and I choose the people and ask the people I'm working with, and then they bring in their ideas.
Yeah.
And in this project, it's really interesting for me to, not be the person who's like working out the concept, but doing it together and trying to find it together. So as you said, there is a structure in it, but it's also, somehow exploding the borders, you know, like, or needing to explode the borders. And like, for me at least, as a musician or as a clarinet player, like, trying to find where can I get with this, you know, and still doing my art, my way of expression, or including my way of expression. Yeah.
What luck that we have found ourselves.
Yeah,
What luck that we're both accidental performance artists.
I just wanted to say what luck that we have like so many connections we figured out the last 2 hours, actually. That is like really, I'm really happy about this. Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel sometimes when you're like, oh yeah, like this is maybe like a confirmation, you know, from the universe that like this is a good like. All right, I'll stop. Shall I stop the recording?
Yeah.